Hey guys, Stanford 15 back at it with another video for you guys as we are back for more One Piece and we are here with the final One Piece episode of the Kuma backstory. And then next week we are jumping right back into current content. So for fans who are ready to get or be done with the backstory. I don't know why, because the backstory has honestly been really good for Kuma, especially how the anime told it. You'll get your wish next week. So that'll be that'll be the wish next week, and then essentially what we see in this episode is basically kind of a rundown, catching us up to current events and stuff like that. What we see before the time skip, and then Kuma, the last of Kuma's free will. So yeah, we basically start the episode off with Bonnie. She's basically now out to sea and everything, and she's kind of been on the mission looking for Kuma. And that's kind of the whole thing of what she's doing. She's been going around hearing these rumors about, oh, Kuma was seen here. So they go to this island, they try to find Kuma, and no, they don't see him. Now, Kuma was on one of the islands, she was, but Kuma's like, I'm sorry, Bonnie, we just can't meet each other. We can't meet each other, right? But he is happy to see that, she's doing good and everything, right? So that then leads to Bonnie looking into into the current design she has. They basically help her out with the lipstick and then obviously the gold ring on her cheek, and she says like, well, maybe Dad won't recognize me if I look like this, right? Which we all freaking know that. I don't know why she would think that, but remember, she's like a freaking 11. She's a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid right now. In the current time in the current time skip, she's a 12-year-old girl, right? But she's basically 9 right now at 10. So as a kid, you're gonna think, oh yeah, my parents won't think that's me. So that's kind of the whole thing. Now, while this is going on, right? This is obviously around the time that Luffy ended up defeating Arlong, right? And Kuma's actually heard about this, and he's like, oh, what the heck? And obviously the word gets spread around. We do see Ace talking to Jinbei like, hey, this is my big brother. And obviously Jinbei's like, what? He beat Arlong? And stuff like that. But Kuma's just seeing what's going on, right, in the world, especially with Luffy, and he goes back to Egghead and he tells Vegapunk like, yeah, that's us, that's Dragon's son, and Vegapunk's like, wait, that's Dragon's son, and he's like, man, whatever. So we also see that the Pacifista clones are, on Egghead, not ready yet to be deployed, but we see them fully built and everything. And also too, we see that, Vegapunk has kind of been storing Kuma's memories. Now, out of respect, Vegapunk's not looking at Kuma's memories, but Kuma's like, I don't really care. You see my memories no matter what. So, who the heck cares at this at this moment, right? So so then that cuts to the Thriller Bark stuff where he ended up coming across them, and you get the infamous scene where you didn't see nothing scene with Zoro, and basically after that incident, Kuma, when he left, he's like, you got a good crew, Straw Hat, you got a good crew. Then obviously cuts to Sabari archipelago stuff, because eventually Kuma gets a message over the radio saying like, hey, you need to report to Navy headquarters because we arrested obviously Porcus the Ace, and he's gonna be held to trial, and we need all the warlords in attendance. If you don't come, you're basically gonna be kicked out, right? Now Kuma's like, yeah, I'm gonna be there, right? And again, if you remember from the Sabari archipelago arc, most of the supernovas, if not all of them, were there. You have it where Kuma's watching in on Bonnie eating the pizza and stuff like that, and he's just happy. But then that's when he hears, at that point when Sharlos ended up getting punched by Luffy, he went to go see like what the heck happened, because he's like, who would dare hit Celestial Dragon? Like, that's fucking treason. Like, you're going to go to prison for that. And then when he sees that it was Luffy that did it, and then he sees how the Straws are attacking the other Celestial Dragons, he's like, what? Why are they doing this and everything? And obviously he's recalling about the whole thing with Nika and everything. And even earlier in the episode, he talked about how Straw kind of his abilities resemble that of Nika from what he was told with the rubbery stuff. And we do know that Luffy did eat the human fruit, model sun god, right? So he is the sun god Nika, and everything. So he's seeing that, and then that leads into the whole thing of when he was getting rid of the crew members to send them all to the different areas around the One Piece world. And we find out like why he did this, and we even get kind of his perspective, like, look, man, I know what it's like to lose people you care about. I truly do, but you're trying to go to the new world, and I gotta be honest, man, you guys ain't ready. But I know, when I send you guys away, I'm gonna make you guys, when you guys come back, you guys are gonna be better prepared, and you guys are gonna be heroes, right? So he did that, and we get the reasoning behind that because Kuma knew, like, yeah, these guys are not ready for the new world. Like it's admirable that they've come this far, but they don't stand a chance as they currently are constructed in the new world. And that's why Kuma sent them all away to the different areas so they could train to get stronger, right? Because he saw potential in them. And he knew, like, no, this crew is going to be the crew and especially with Luffy, he's going to be the dude that changes the entire world, and he's going to be lauded as a hero, right? So I guess in a weird way, you can kind of say that maybe in a weird way, Kuma felt like maybe Luffy was Nika this entire time. Obviously that's just headcanon and, just a hypothesis, but we realistic, and Kuma didn't really reveal if he felt like that. But I bet you he felt from the way he saw the crew, he's like, no, he might be the sun god with the powers he got and stuff like that. So yeah, and you get that whole scene right then and there, and then the next scene is when you get the scene, or next, you get it where, so Vegapunk's talking to Saturn, right? Now, Vegapunk's again trying to plead with Saturn about, like, hey man, look, if you want this guy to have no free will, that's fine. But can we maybe come up with something to where he has some semblance of his self there? Like, he even suggests, like, hey, why not we just have a toggle off and on switch? Because the whole thing is, Saturn wants to put kind of like a fail safe in Kuma, like a self-destruct bomb, right? And Vegapunk's like, bro, you already told me to take this dude's free will away. Now you want me to put put a bomb in this dude, and if he, for whatever reason, disobeys a command, we can blow him. We have to blow him up. Like, dog, you're telling me to kill him again. And Vegapunk's begging, but Saturn's like, I don't give a fuck, bro. You're gonna do what he needs to do. You're gonna do what you need to do. You can't fuck with me. I'm a scientist too, so you can't try to trick me, right? Saturn uses that whole thing. But even Vegapunk's like, look, man, I can use a switch. One that has his free will, another one that's, obviously the role. Well, obviously he takes orders from us. But Saturn wasn't having it. He's like, no, he isn't supposed to not have any free will, right? So that's the thing. Anyways, Vegapunk walks into the one room where Kuma's staying at, and we find out that Kuma overheard this conversation, and because of the super hearing he has, he overheard that, and he does think Vegapunk was like saying, like, hey, Vegapunk, look, man, I appreciate you for trying to do that, but it's all right, man. I'm all good. I did this of my own accord. I sacrificed everything for this, right? And again, you can clearly tell, like, Vegapunk really does not want to go through with this. He truly thinks what's going on is wrong. And you can make the case, like, this may have been the thing. This may have been the part in time. Because remember, this is before the 2-year time skip. This may have been part of the time where Vegapunk was like, I can't handle it no more. I can't work for this world government no more. They're too much. It's not the way it should be ran. Right? So he tells Kuma, like, hey man, this is the last thing. When I flip the switch, you'll have no more free will. Like, it will be completely gone. The you is, yourself, it'll be over. And Kuma at this point, he's content with it. He gives more of his memories and everything away. And, you just get this beautiful sequence where Kuma's just reliving everything he's been through, and then even running through his past. And you get obviously all these people in his life that have been influential to him in the life of what we've seen in this backstory. And it's just kind of the whole thing of like, damn, man, this dude for damn near half his life, right? Or really realistically all his life, because he's about to be like dead on, brain dead essentially, right? Um, he had all this terrible shit happen to him, and still to the end of the day, he found certain means and certain people he was around to be thankful, grateful, and happy for. And he's okay with it, especially the fact that he knows, like, no, my daughter's gonna be out there and she's gonna be okay. So you get this amazing scene where he's reliving that. You then cut back to it, what's going on in the room. Vegapunk is bawling his eyes out because he knows once he flips that switch, Kuma is basically dead. And he pulls that switch and he just absolutely starts bawling and he cries. And as he's saying that, before he even pulled it, Kuma told him, like, hey, when you see Bonnie again, tell her I said happy 10th birthday. And if that shit don't hit you, man, I don't know what that would do. But that happens. Vegapunk is bawling his eyes out and everything. And then basically the episode ends off where we cut back to that point in time when Bonnie went through and looked through Kuma's memories, and she's crying and bawling her eyes up because now she truly realized at that point in time, right, what Kuma went through his entire life, and then even more, seeing what happened and getting revealed to her, like, what the sacrifice he did so she could live. And now she truly understands, like, no, my dad did not neglect me. He did all this reluctantly, but it was to save my life. So I could only imagine for, her, how emotional and how heartbreaking that is, that she saw her father go through all that shit, only to be revealed, like, how she lost her mom, and then on top of it, how she lost her father. Because I've said time and time again, like, idealistically, this is the type of life Kuma could have had, this great life to live, right, with Ginny and everything. And then when you look at it from Bonnie's perspective, like, she could have had a crazy good life, living alongside a loving mother in Ginny, and then a loving father in Kuma, and for all that to be taken away from her. And that's strictly due to the world government. Now you see why she truly did attack Saturn, because Saturn really truly stripped all sorts of freedom from Kuma and took that away from him. So, it was definitely sad. It definitely was emotional. And man, you got to give it up to you got to give it up to Toei and everything. So you got to give it up to Toei. They did a great job at adapting this, and it was amazing. Definitely was amazing. But anyways, yeah. So next week, we're gonna be back into the current, or the basically the main, or really the current timeline stuff, and we're back to the present, and we're getting back into the egghead craziness that's gonna happen. So it's, next week's just the beginning of crazy shit that's gonna happen. But regardless, that's all I gotta say for this week's episode of One Piece. If you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts. Hit the subscribe button if you want to get more One Piece content or any other anime content I upload to the channel. Until then, guys, stay safe out there. Have a great rest of your day or your night, or watching this video. Until then, guys, peace.